Hello everybody, this is Ben here from the Golden System, and today I'm here to talk about the difference between dissociation and switching. Before we get into it, I'd like to say two things. First one is that we are not professionals. We are still learning about DID and OSDD. This is going to be from our own personal experience. The second point is that our host, Han, was meant to be doing this video, but I ended up switching out, so thought I'd do it instead. So we wanted to do this because there is quite a few people recently who we have told about the system, and they sometimes struggle a bit to determine whether we've switched or not, or whether we're just dissociating. So hopefully this video will help either our friends get to know it a bit better, or if you know someone who's struggling with this as well, you can show them this video and hopefully it helps. So first off, this might sound a bit confusing, but you can dissociate without switching, but you can't really switch without dissociating, not unless you've got really good communication. So sometimes Han and Sophia can switch with each other without any dissociation at all, it just kind of happens. But most of the time you cannot switch without dissociating. But like I said, you can dissociate without switching. What is dissociation? Dissociation is feeling a disconnect from your body. People have described it as feeling like a ghost, being the body being an empty shell while you kind of just fade away. So some people may experience seeing themselves in the third person when they're dissociating. When we dissociate, it's kind of like that kind of feeling. It feels like we're pulling away from reality. I will go into some physical signs of this later. So what is a switch? A switch is when one alter is going into the inner wall and another alter is coming to front. So switch might be between, so me currently, Ben, and then if I was switching, it means I might be changing to someone like Han, our host. So that's what a switch is. It's just when another alter is coming to front in the body. So what are some of the physical different signs of these happening? With dissociation, with most systems, you tend to see whoever's out just staring off into a distance. This can be the same with switching as well. So while you're switching, you also may stare off into the distance blankly. The biggest difference for us is that if we're dissociating, it's a blank stare, and that's it. We might be also completely frozen. Our body will go very heavy. Even during a switch as well, our body will go very heavy, but we do find that we can kind of still move when we're switching, as there's this time in between a switch. Kind of when the body goes a bit vacant, but it goes on autopilot, and for us it will just continue doing the action as it was previously. So if it's walking, it will carry on walking. If we were like high-fiving or something, it would just carry on doing that motion. That tends to be our autopilot, so we can still move while switching, but if it's dissociation, we will be completely frozen, usually because it feels like somebody's put 100 pounds weight in our body, literally everywhere. So for us, with dissociation, we can kind of just snap back into reality and kind of just come back, just have an awareness of what happened and just be there. With switching, it might take us a while to come round and kind of figure out what's going on. Well, it depends how close to the front you are. If you're very close, it still might take a while for you to come round, but you do know what's happening. If you were a bit further back and you've been triggered to front, some signs might be that we look at what clothes we're wearing, or we check what lesson we're in, or we see what our surroundings are and who's around us and whether we're safe or not. Whereas dissociation, we'll just come back into reality, we won't do any of that because it's still the same person there. So when switching finishes, we will be either rapid blinking or it'll be very long blinks that we do, and it will usually end in some kind of sigh or like a big inhale and a big exhale. And then we don't always do this, but some people do, is kind of run our hands through our hair or through our fringe like that. Not everyone does that, and we don't do it all the time, but we seem to do it quite a lot. So if we do all three of those things, it's probably been a switch. If we've just been staring off and we kind of just come back into reality without seeming different or without doing any of those things, then it's just dissociation. We understand that these are very hard things to tell the difference between. There are still some very experienced systems out there and very experienced people who still get the two of them confused. That's why we encourage people to not be afraid to ask who's out. Even if you don't think there's been a switch, it doesn't matter. We will still be like, oh, no, it's still me, there hasn't been a switch, it's fine. But if there has been a switch, we will happily be like, yeah, it's this person out. I know in our system's case, we prefer being asked. Of course, not all systems will like being asked. You might want to ask somebody in that system if you are unsure. But for us personally, we like being asked who's out. Especially for alters who have anxiety, who don't have the confidence to say, hey, it's this person, not the person you usually talk to and interact with. So it is very helpful. And like I say, even if you're unsure, you can still ask, because I know us specifically, we don't mind. I know a lot of systems don't mind. If you do feel unsure about asking, you can just say, hey, I hope you don't mind me asking, but can I ask who's out? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, it's this person. And if you don't want to do it up front, and you just find out someone's system, you can say, am I okay to ask who's out when you switch, or would you prefer to come to me in your own time? It just depends what system you're talking to. I can't think of what else just to say, other than if you do notice someone dissociating or someone switching, try not to interact with them or touch them or snap them back into reality, because that might startle them, which it's not good, it's not funny. So just let them do what they do and just let them finish. If they ask you to ground them, help them to ground. Also, never trigger anyone else. We are going to do a video on triggers, but never trigger anyone out unless you are specifically given permission by that alter to trigger them out, because it's not, even with positive triggers, it's not the best thing to do. Our system will positively trigger people quite often, but that's because we know we're okay to do that. We know who we're okay to do it with, who we're not okay to do it with. But if you're just getting to know them, don't do it. And yeah, I think that's it. I hope this video was helpful. If you did enjoy it, click the like button. You can subscribe. We do vlogs, we do educational video, we do a bit of everything. You ask for it, we will probably do it. So yeah, that's it. I don't know when I'll see you next, but hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye everyone.